Life. Don't care for fair. What I mean by this is that you shouldn't care if life is fair. Now, our own idea of what is fair will always be subjective. It will always be from our vantage points. Whatever kind of person we are, we have many different filters, different ideas, different ways of viewing the world, and all these life is filtered through that and then reaches us. So, because life doesn't succumb to our moral measuring scales, because it never does, because no one person's measuring scales are completely correct. No ones are properly calibrated to reality. Because life comes through these measuring scales, these filters, if you will, it will almost always seem unfair. It will almost always feel wrong, and that is because not only do we have these filters and are we viewing life from a certain vantage point, we have a certain bias towards ourselves. And we will always imagine ourselves better than we are, or we will make the world seem worse in order to make ourselves seem better in our own minds. And this is a recurring theme throughout humanity. And this is why it's very important, no matter if you believe you're a good person, or if you're just a person that's trying to get by, or if you believe that you're, the greatest person ever, to not expect life to be fair. Because none of us are calibrated to actually perceive it as it is, unless you're an enlightened soul, or a soul that has achieved moksha, or someone who has achieved, a reality beyond the material reality. Somebody who is possibly not only beyond it, but can still exist here within the material reality, but whose being has transcended it as a result of action. And that's what we must do. We must act. If we consign ourselves to thinking that life is unfair, then we will very unlikely act to make our lives better. It is very unlikely that we will conquer despair if we're constantly thinking that life is unfair, or the people around me don't really care about me as much as they should. I try so hard, and the justice system is just terrible. Why doesn't it favor me, who is a more moral person than the other person who I'm involved with? Why does my religion hate me? Why does it? Let's say I'm female, and I'm Muslim, and I'm treated unfairly, I would say, why does my religion, why does my idea of the truth, and maybe I know that this is true, why does my idea of the truth and the world come back at me and treat me like I'm a second-rate citizen, like I'm not as important as an older male? And without getting into religion, this is a common thing. It's not just about religion or politics. Sometimes it's, why does my community just look at me like this? Why do they always look at me this way and say these certain things to me? Why can't they just accept me as I am? I'm not doing anything to them. This is also very common. Or you might ask yourself, I've been trying to get into a relationship and find somebody like me, just like me. I mean, I know I'm weird, but I'm trying to find somebody just like me. And somebody that's maybe just interested in spirituality, or maybe just interested in this level of politics or economics, or somebody who just has a great personality, is a kind person. Why can't I find somebody like this? These aren't, any one of these things could be how you're approaching this, but you could say this isn't a much to ask. Why can't I find somebody who I can click with on what I care about, who I am? Why is who I am so different from everybody around me? And over the years, I've asked myself very similar questions. And it comes down to the fact that I'm not perceiving anything correctly. I'm not seeing that my own qualifications for who I'm going to be with, or who I want to be my friend, are far harder to achieve than I might think, because it never comes down to one factor. Oh, I'm looking for somebody kind. Oh, I'm looking to join a group that really understands me and accepts me for who I am, because we have these not only biases for ourselves, but these discriminations towards others that we don't really realize. We have all of these qualifiers that are kind of hidden in our subconscious that we've developed, but kind of hide from our measuring scale. We hide them from ourselves so that we don't think that we're judging other people, because nobody really wants to view themselves as being judgmental. And if we start to realize we're judging people a whole lot, then that person is likely to change their mind. So we like to think that we're not judging about anybody at all. We're just seeing them as they are. And then that's when the subconscious is really working against us, if we have those qualifiers in our subconscious that affect how we interact with people in the external world. What you must do is not expect reality to be on your side. You must act based on a situation. You must act to better yourself, to better your situation in life, to better your family and their situation in life. And a lot of people, not very many, but there are plenty of people out there, draw the circle much wider and decide to try and better all of humanity's situation. And it doesn't have to be a whole bunch at once, just a little bit at a time. But I consider myself one of those people that just tries to help everyone, no matter what religion or politic or personality they have. I try to help everyone towards realizing that we are all one, and to be more compassionate and logical if possible. But compassion is even more important than logic, though I think ultimately they are synonyms. At any rate, what we must do is focus on action and not debilitate ourselves with a judgment of reality that leads nowhere. These ideas about reality and saying that it's not fair and fuck everything, that doesn't become action. It doesn't become an actionable idea. Focus on actionable ideas. Fill your mind with thoughts on how you can make your situation better, how you can make yourself better. And sometimes one comes before the other, and the other one becomes before the one. But whatever order that comes in, you have to fill your mind with what you want to happen. Now, there are times when I ask myself, man, I haven't been in a relationship in over a year. Why can't I find somebody that's spiritual, or at least a kind person that I really click with, or at least intellectual? And it can be any one of these factors, and I'd be okay with it. Why can't I find somebody like that? Now, I have these hidden qualifiers within my own subconscious, I'm starting to realize. But also, I have to understand that whatever we think about, whatever we fill our minds with, is what we're likely to achieve. Now, I'm constantly thinking about spiritual things. I'm constantly thinking about the gods, things that I've read, things that I've heard on audiobook or podcast relating to the gods. These spiritual practices that I practice on a regular basis, and I'm constantly filling my head with spiritual matters and things beyond this material realm. And thus I'm attuning to something that is different from the attunement most people have here. Attuning my mind, my consciousness to something that is beyond. So when I don't get physical things like a relationship, a physical but also an emotional, spiritual relationship, all in one package. But for intensive purposes, I'm talking about a relationship in the material realm. So why can't I find a relationship? Why can't I make a little bit more money in my job? And why can't I have a little bit more here or there? And I ask myself these questions, often, but it's always in between thinking about things beyond this realm, and always in between thinking about the gods and different scriptures that I read and different practices that I've researched. And then I wonder why that these things aren't coming to me in this realm. Material things aren't coming to me in this realm. It's simply because I'm not focusing on them. You have to fill your mind with things that you want. Not necessarily, what I want is something that is a little bit beyond desire, I think. Of course, there's a desire element to it, but if you truly desire something, even if it's material, even if it's selfish, you want a really nice and fine girlfriend, you want a nice car, you want more money. If you fill your mind with ideas of these things, and do a little bit of research, take in a little bit of input, a little bit of knowledge on these topics and how to attain these things, and you spin them around in your head, the brain has a wonderful capacity to make all of these things a reality. Everything that you put in your head and spin around and around and around is like its own centrifugal force of manifestation that will eventually come to you. And I can't explain why the relationship between the brain and the soul and the spirit in a way that makes sense, but I know that the more you fill your mind with something, with an idea, and you think about it and do a little research here and there, you don't even need a lot of data. The brain will consume whatever amount of data you take in and will run with it and create within it will manifest in reality what you have filled your mind with. And I've seen it happen again and again. And my own contentment, to a certain degree, compassion, love for the world, and spiritual knowledge and wisdom is because I spun these things in my head so many different times that my brain has worked for me instead of against me in the spiritual sense. But you can't expect your brain to manifest things you don't think about constantly. And I don't think about being in a relationship constantly. I don't think about having money constantly. I don't think about how I can, get a better job constantly. I don't think about how I can progress and get even better grades in school constantly. But I guarantee you, if you want these things, you fill your head with them, your brain will work you towards achieving them. And it's not always a conscious process. Most of it's subconscious, and your subconscious will run with what you feed it. So I've been feeding it mostly spiritual data and spiritual thoughts, and this is what I choose to think about. So I've been having spiritual results. If you want material results, you have to fill your brain with that. But this has been more of the second part of the video. The first part, of course, was don't care about fair. Life, don't care about fair. Life doesn't, and you shouldn't either, because anybody's idea of fair, 99.99999% of people's idea of fair really is skewed in very interesting ways that may not be perceptible. And regardless of what you think is fair, the reality you find yourself in is your reality. So act and fill your mind with what you want to achieve, and don't dwell on how unfair things are, because that will lead to no results that will bring you to your goals, that will bring you to yourself. These are the results that you should pursue. So at any rate, thank you very much for watching. I hope this video has been interesting. If it has, feel free to hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps out the channel. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to shoot it down in the comment section below. I've been trying to get to all the comments, but as the channel grows, I'm finding that there are just dozens and dozens of comments a day, so it's been hard to get to all of them. But feel free to shoot it down there, and I will try to get to them. But hey, thank you very much for watching, and I hope y'all have a wonderful life and a wonderful day.